Hey, what's up guys, this is Jay and welcome to a 20-man Hero Dryad Forest guide. First of all, you want to set up your markers as shown over here. The circle is where you want one of your ad tanks to pull the right ad. And the blue cross, which is, somewhere around the right side. It doesn't have to be in that exact position. The purple square is where you want your other tank to pull the ad. Just somewhere in that area, far away from the group, which is where the heart is. Because the left ad is always the ad that gives a debuff when it dies, the AoE poison and the AoE defenseless debuff. And you want the red X somewhere on the left side of the map. Oh, and obviously the right side, the first ad when it dies heals, and the second ad when it dies gives a attack buff. Keep in mind that the buffs work on the boss too, so if the healing ad dies too close, it'll heal the boss. If the attack buff dies next to the boss, it'll buff the boss's attack. Basically, the mechanics of the 20-man is exactly the same as 10-man hero mode. Restating what I said in the 10-man guide, don't bring laggers because any one of them can wipe the entire raid. After AoE killing the roots, the ad tanks should get into position to be ready to pull the ad. Just as a reminder, level 5 potions and scrolls are mandatory for this. If you're in Dunder's gear and you don't have them, you're probably gonna die. The tank tanking the right ad should always be ready to interrupt the ad because it can cast the heal, which you are about to see. If that is not interrupted, it will heal the boss by 10%. Ideally, the left ad should be dead by the time the fairies spawn. The fairies will spawn after the ad spawn, so be ready for them. They're actually called spores in the game, but I'm going to be calling them fairies for simplicity's sake. Now there are two types of fairies, a red fairy and a blue fairy. If a fairy is spawning on you, you will hear a ding sound like you got aggro from a mob. You will also see a giant marker on top of your head that's either going to be red or blue. If it is red, you run to the red X marker. If it is blue, you run to the blue cross marker. This is usually what wipes raids, and the reason why I recommend that you do not bring laggers. If you get the fairy, be quick about it, get to the correct marker. If you don't, and the fairy reaches you, it will blow up and do AoE damage to you and anyone near you, and is usually enough to one-shot someone. Now the reason why the circle is here and the square is there is because of the fairies. The person with the blue fairy will run past this right ad and it will avoid all the melee DPS that's attacking it. And the same concept for the red fairy. Just like 10-man hero, the 20-man hero boss has the random spike that does about 4k damage to you and poisons you. Guardians, rogues, and archers can remove this poison. But it is also possible to survive the poison by just potioning and scrolling yourself. After the last ad dies, you are expected to go back to the boss and be ready to rotate. Over here, this is overgrowth. It means everyone needs to move to the left unless they want to get hit by the boss's rotational AoE. The other rotational AoE is called Mother Nature, which means everyone needs to move to the right side of the boss. When people get rooted, just AoE and kill the roots. And then ad tanks get into position and be ready to pull the ads. And this same process will repeat until second phase. Second phase is around 6 million HP and 4 people will be rooted. Kill those roots and be ready for fatal seeds. 3 random people will get a giant triangle marker on top of their heads. These people have 10 seconds to run to the very edge of the map, which is plenty of time. After the 10 seconds, a poison pool will spawn under you. The first tick of poison damage is unavoidable, so you should save your roll for after the poison pool spawns. If you roll ahead of time, you will just mess up the poison pool placement and the pool will spawn on you anyways, and you will take multiple ticks of poison instead of just one tick. Here you are about to see an example of the fatal seeds. You can see here that I have the seed and I'm running to the very back of the map. Be warned that the fairies will spawn right after the fatal seeds. So here, I'm putting down the pool and then fairies will spawn. Right there, fairies have spawned. If the fairy is on you, run to the correct marker. Keep in mind that the boss's melee white circle AoE is not random. For example, and this is a reason why sometimes the melee blows up the tank. The boss always does his melee AoE when the fairies spawn. So if you're melee and you had the fatal seed, you ran all the way back and then you ran back to the boss and charged at him, guess what? You can have the boss's melee AoE and the fairy on you at the same time. You'll get knocked back and then the fairy will explode on you. You might kill a few of your melee allies and the tank, which can be another cause of a wipe. So for the second phase, just remember this pattern. Fatal Seeds, then Fairies and Melee AoE. After that, be ready for the Rotational AoE. Especially those of you who had the Fairies, you need to get back to the boss as quickly as possible because the boss will cast a Rotational AoE, and if you're on the opposite side of where you need to be, you're probably gonna die. That is it for 20-man Hero Dryad Forest. This is Jay, and thank you for watching. Have fun in your raids. Jay, signing out.